Lonely Monk Productions. I don't know if y'all have seen episode 5 of Ahsoka on Disney Plus yet, but yo!
That's my Jawn! Hey yo, displace the guilt.
What's good, friends and family, neighbors near and far? Welcome to an all-new episode of the Yo, That's My Jawn podcast. The podcast, website, brand, movement, way of life dedicated to the embrace and championing of your passions. I'm your host, Nate Runkle, a.k.a. Johnny, Angry Johnny. This is Jezebel in Hell, a.k.a. Nate 3.0, back at it again with yet another episode of the podcast. As always, I hope this podcast finds you all in good health and in good spirits. On today's episode, I am joined for a fantastic chat with Greg Sover. Greg's got a new album out called His Story, and it is a rockin' good time. We talk about the album, working with Billy Cox of the Jimi Hendrix Experience, and so much more. And that is coming up in a bit here. But first, y'all, I just got back in town from a vacation on the Cape, and then today I just played a gig a few hours ago, and look, guys, I am spent. But spent as I may be, I have an episode to deliver to you guys, so no time to rest. It's go hard or go home. Well, I am home. Actually, this is my home. So I guess it's a go hard at home. Whatever. Here's the deal. In trying to gear up for this vacay, I tried to bank a bunch of interviews, all right? And, well, I kind of overdid it. Yeah, I have too many in the chamber right now, which brings me to this programming note. Because I have so many great conversations sitting there waiting to be heard. Starting this week and through October, we are returning to a weekly release schedule. Well, what's that mean? That means for the time being, we will have a new episode for you every Monday. How crazy is that? My overachievement becomes your benefit. You're welcome. But yeah, jokes aside, we're switching to a weekly format for the time being, so please adjust accordingly. Well, of course, you know the best way to stay on top of all this and any future changes to the show, right? Jump on the mailing list. Visit www.yothat'smyjawn.com and sign on up. There's links to the mailing list, links to the show, links to other podcasts I've been on, links to the socials, which, of course, you guys all know is at Yo That's My Jawn on all the major social media sites. Because you follow them already, don't you? You follow the socials, of course you do. And, all right, look, if you don't, I will not shame you. Oh, well, I will not shame you if you go ahead right now and you follow us at Yo That's My Jawn. Does that sound like a deal, little camper? Cool. So yeah, just to reiterate, new episodes every Monday through October. Jump on the mailing list, follow the socials, good times. Okay, we're all on board. So let me take one quick ad break and then let's jump on in on my interview with Greg Sover. Yo, That's My Jawn is brought to you by Liquid IV. Guys, it is festival season. And you know me, I love a festival. And the secret to enjoying a festival is to stay hydrated. Liquid IV has you covered while you prep before, power through to the headliner, and recover after the weekend. Liquid IV hydrates 2 times faster than water alone with 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks. Man, I love Liquid IV. It comes in a convenient packaging, and it's tasty. When you see me at the Exponential Music Festival this fall, you know that I will have Liquid IV on me. And it comes in 12 delicious, refreshing flavors to keep your hydration routine exciting. All right, strawberry used to be my favorite, but they have this new one. It's strawberry lemonade, and it is a banger. 1 stick of Liquid IV in 16 ounces of water hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficiently than water alone. It's non-GMO and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. Liquid IV believes that equitable access to clean and abundant water is the foundation of a healthier world. So Liquid IV partners with leading organizations for innovative solutions to help communities protect both their water and their futures. To date, Liquid IV has donated over 39 million servings in 50-plus countries around the world. Okay, and you can get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use the promo code YTMJ at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using the promo code YTMJ at liquidiv.com. Do it, and let's get our fests on. My guest today is a singer, songwriter, and guitar slinger who grew up immersed in classic rock, country, and the blues ever since he first picked up a guitar at the age of 5. His latest album, History, is a 10-song rocker that features an appearance on 2 songs by Billy Cox, the legendary bassist for Jimi Hendrix in both The Experience and the Band of Gypsies. Folks, it is my honor to welcome to the show Greg Sover. Ladies and gentlemen, I am joined today by the great Greg Sover. Greg, thank you for joining me on Yo, That's My Jawn.
Yo, that's my Jawn. Thanks for having me. Nate, how's it going, brother?
It's going good, man. I'll tell you what, this new album of yours, His Story, is absolutely phenomenal. I'm an old guitar fan and player, not nearly as talented as you, but you are just soaring on this album, and I love it, man.
Yes, thanks a lot. We went through a lot of tribulations and trials with this one. There was engineers that passed away. Rest in peace, my guy Mike Tarzia. He was a major important part of the album before it finished. And then we had to switch some bands around, make sure we get things sounding right the way we wanted to sound. So I'm glad I'm getting the response we're getting, because this is just it was just so much, doubt and let's keep it going, and there's so much going on with it, but I had to finish. I had to finish the product. You start what you finish and you finish it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you did, man, because like I said, it absolutely screams. Let's jump in the Wayback Machine before we get too deep into that, and tell me a little bit about growing up. Where were you born?
Yeah, so I was born in Brooklyn, New York. Mom and dad are Haitian. And about mid-'80s, they moved, and here I came. Here I come, Greg Sover, from Brooklyn, and then we ended up moving to Philadelphia, to Philly, which is my home. I consider my home. Everything I learned was first in Philly, from the fights to, everything Philly can bring to you as far as knowledge. But what I clearly remember was when I moved here, it was the first time Mike Tyson lost. That was the biggest thing. That was not that I remember. I was so young, but that was the biggest thing that was going on in media. Mike Tyson lost to Buster Douglas. So that's my clear and early memory of Philly. But other than that, I remember my dad always playing the guitar. So I got the love from the guitar of my dad. I remember my dad playing this instrument, and I was staring at these curves and looking at this thing, staring at her like it was a woman. Like, man, I love the guitar, and it's still something I love the same, or if not more. A lot of I was saying that I'm Haitian, so a lot of the American music wasn't played in the household as much. It was a lot of compa, which is the native genre of Haiti, and a little bit of zouk, which is also the native genre of Haiti. So it was always the Caribbean stuff going on at home until I went outside. That's when I figured out about the cheese steaks and things like that. Which I love. But it was heavily Haitian culture at the house. And then I clearly remember hearing Bob Marley. Bob Marley was English speaking, and I'm understanding get up, stand up, things like that. And then a little bit after that, it was Cyndi Lauper's Time After Time. Such a different sound compared to what I was used to, because even though Bob Marley spoke he sang his music in English. The music was still Caribbean. You could still get that Caribbean feel from it.
Yeah.
But Cyndi Lauper's time after time, I just remember my dad sitting there on his big record player playing this song, and I remember him falling in love with the song. And I think that's a part of the attachment for me too, seeing how my dad reacted to it. But it was that guitar tone on that song that made me say, this is what I kind of want to sound like with the guitar. And fast forward, we throw in blues and country music, rap, of course, R&B. And then there was this guy named Jimi Hendrix. And I said, whoa, now this is the guy I want to be like. And it's been set from there.
That's incredible. You know, it's wild. You mentioned Hendrix. I feel like, everybody always, obviously, clearly, talks about, just incredibly, versatile as a guitar player and stuff like that. But one of the things that always really excited me about him was his exploration of sonics, like not just guitar, playing, but like the production and kind of just exploring what you could do sound wise with not just the instrument, but with the studio,
Yes. And, they nowadays we have so much technology where you can manipulate sounds and come up with so much crazy sounding sonic stuff. But around that time, the challenge was what you saw was what you get, and they still somehow made all of these real cool sounds and the studio, and then you have the live stuff going on, what he was doing with the guitars and things like that. Just the sounds, not even the technicalities of the playing. It was just what he was doing with the pedals and the amps. It was ahead of its time. And it's something still to this day, can't nobody, you have to admit, Jimi Hendrix started all of that. You have to admit that. Can nobody say anything else?
Absolutely. So what age did you start playing guitar?
Started pretty early. It was my first guitar was at 5. I remember my father buying me a guitar at 5 years old, and he actually made me appreciate it. I spoke to him earlier and wished him a happy birthday. And he made me appreciate it a little more because at the time when he was trying to buy me a guitar, there were only kid toy guitars. There wasn't any, real guitars or something a grown up would play. So he actually had to wait till they start making guitars for, the adult version guitars for kids. And then that's when he said, I want you to be serious. So he bought me that guitar. And ever since then, kind of flew with it. And I appreciate that so much because I don't know if I would be so interested if he bought me a toy guitar or, a miniature guitar or anything like that.
Yeah, it's like, and it's interesting because like that kind of respect for the instrument itself, obviously handed down with that guitar,
Yes. Oh, yes. I wish I could say I still had that guitar, but let's just say I annoyed my brothers with that guitar because I was just strumming. I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but it was still something, and it's something he picked up on, and I'm still doing it to this day, which is amazing in itself because we know it's all phase, especially with kids. Everything is kind of in a phase. I want to be this. I want to be a ball player. I want to be that. But I've always stuck to the music, to the guitar especially.
Yeah. What can you remember the first song you could play the whole way through?
Yes. It was a French song my dad showed me. And this song happened to have all the chords. It wasn't, in theory, it didn't work, but somehow it all worked in this song. And this song is called El Coup. El Coup. It's a French song. I forget the guy's name. I want to say Michel something, but the song is definitely named El Coup. And from that song right there, I kind of picked up everything. And I don't know if it was my dad trying to say, I'm not trying to sit here and show you the guitar. I'm going to show you this one song with all of these chords and you take it from there. But it was that one song and I flourished from there.
That's awesome. The it's kind of like the Mr. Miyagi wax on, wax off. Like here's everything you're gonna need in one little experience, and if you got that,
that's true. And to the point where when he gives it to you, you're still like, this doesn't make sense. This is not what I want to learn. Yeah. And then you learn it, and you're like, oh, that's why he showed me this song. I get it now. It just makes you appreciate it even more,
Yeah. You just had a child. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
he just turned 9 months. True blessing, Damien, yeah, beautiful boy. Man, what can I say? Having a baby is such a blessing. So I'm very happy about that.
Well, congrats. Absolutely.
Thank
Congrats.
you.
Have you already picked out what kind of guitar Damien's going to play?
Well, it looks like Damien is going to play my acoustic guitar. Every time I pick up guitar, he's already stuck on it, and I don't know if I was stuck on the guitar the way he is when I was his age, and if that's what my dad picked up. But if that's what it is, it looks like he's going to have a guitar when he's 5 years old.
That's awesome. That is so cool. So when you were younger and first play that first guitar, did you start acoustic then?
Yeah, started acoustic. My dad always was into the acoustic first. It was rare you see my dad pick up an electric guitar. A lot of Haitian guitars, they might admire the electric, but it all starts with the acoustic first. It's like a graduation thing. You do the acoustic and then you move on to the electric kind of thing. I don't. I'm glad it started that way because it's it can be a challenge playing the acoustic. So once you get that down, then all the other guitars become a piece of cake.
Yeah, totally. That's like it's kind of like training skates almost. Like it's like
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Yes.
So you're playing and stuff like that. When do you start getting creative and kind of creating your own songs? Like, were you in bands in high school and stuff like that?
Believe it or not, it was the church. The church started it. I used to play bass at the church. That's how that would probably be my first live instrument I played out there. And it started in the church. So a lot of the music was Christian based, gospel based. So it was more learning that. And through that, I was able to learn the fundamentals of music or writing music, where chords go, where to put certain things in place. So I had to blame it on the church, and not in a bad way, in a great way, of course. But the church actually started it, and it opened my eyes into what a musician is supposed to do. But it's a little different at church because you're not looking at you're not trying to be a rock star at church. It's really it's serving a different purpose. So, but after that, that's when I said, I'm going to try write some songs. So I was definitely a teenager, 15, 16, maybe a little younger, but definitely started at the church.
Yeah, that's awesome. The performing bass in church, like how was there just an opening, or how did you pivot to the bass for that period of time?
So my youth pastor who plays the guitar, I always told him I wanted to play the guitar. So I picked up the guitar and I showed him that I know how to do certain things on there. And he said, I know you understand. I know you love the guitar, but we need a bass player. And, I know some notes. So I said, all right, let me do the bass. Let us bring this together. And I play the bass with a cousin who played the drums, and youth pastor, of course, playing the guitar and singing and leading the worship. But it was just us three rocking it for the congregation at the time.
That's awesome. Still a trio.
Yeah, still a trio in full sound. I think that's why I do so much trio work, because I feel like you could get such a full sound still with the trio with three instruments. But even two instruments, you can still get the full sound, and you could still somehow capture people's imagination to where they're hearing so many other things with these three instruments, So
yeah,
the church.
Well, and I think having that kind of bass period background probably helped a lot, because like I remember when I was learning guitar, I read this interview with Prince, and they were asking him what he thought every guitar player should learn and what every guitar player kind of lacks, like what a lot of guitar players lack. And his main thing was, a lot of people can play, but not a lot of people have rhythm. And like, I've played some bass in my background and stuff like that, and it definitely, that you find the pocket so much easier when you're in that back end, and then that translates so well when you start playing. Like, I play rhythm. I'm a rhythm player. I can't solo for shit, but I play rhythm, and like I can credit all of that to kind of having that bass background,
Yeah, I agree with you. The bass definitely showed you how to keep a beat, and you have to lock in with the drummer, so it definitely keeps you on a, on a beat. And it not that it humble is not the word I'm trying to use, but it shows you that you are somewhat of a service. You're not a lead man. Not that you can't play bass and be a lead man, but the bass, you're supposed to play this specific role and stay there. And so it does keep you on route with what you're supposed to be doing and without doing too much. Stick to the script, and then and then you explore with everything else. But so the bass definitely kept me in that realm where I'm servicing this band so we can sound good together.
Yeah, and like, a guitar, you can kind of, if you slide off that beat just a little, it might sound like a flourish, but if on the bass, if you slide off the beat, everyone knows,
Everyone knows, and depending on the musicians around you, it might mess everybody up.
That's exactly right, man. That's exactly right. So, here's another thing that I was reading. You mentioned Mike Tyson. Was there some Joe Frazier thing going on as well, right?
Yes. Yeah, Joe Frazier. I was going to be in Joe Frazier's band one time. And there was an audition. I didn't even really play. They saw me doing some stuff on the guitar, and they said, "Hey, you're hired. You're hired." And unfortunately, when things started to get in motion, Joe started to get sick, and I didn't have an opportunity to really move on with the band like that. But it was still an honor to meet him and at his gym in North Philly, and we were just cracking jokes. Funny guy, very funny guy. So rest in peace, Joe Frazier.
That's incredible. I still get depressed every time I drive by the gym and it's got, whatever.
It's gone. Yeah, whatever's there. It was a furniture place at one time. I said, this is legacy. Do you know what you're doing here?
Right? I know. Like, I feel like the Historical Society should have came in there or something. Something should have stopped.
Yes. We should have had one of those landmark things that they put in front of these historical buildings. They should have had it there. But I think that I think with that opportunity, it just kept me going. Those little opportunities, whether they come or not, they just matter. They want you to keep on going. They egg you to keep finding new opportunities and stick to your goal. Because more importantly than, even though I wasn't able to play a show with them, the fact that I made the band was really good. That was showing that okay, I know what I'm doing a little bit. Because at that time, I don't think I really knew. I was just kind of just winging it. So you went out there, you take these chances. Never forget to take chances, and look what happened. We didn't get to play, but I could clearly say I made the band.
Yeah, and that validation does so much mentally, and just with confidence. Like, it's like, oh, I do deserve this,
Oh yes. It's not a mistake.
That's right. That's exactly right. So when you were kind of trying to find your guitar voice and stuff like that, tell me a little bit about like what you were influenced by. Like, what were you kind of playing along to, or wanting to kind of craft your stuff after?
Well, kind of a little bit of everything. With the music that was played in the household, it was more of a gumbo. I was loving everything. We had, of course, I said the compa, which I appreciate, but there was also the hip hop, the R&B. There was the country music. There was blues. There was so much influences to I always wanted to learn how to play this riff from this song or this riff from this song. And then Jimi Hendrix came into my life, and I had a good friend of mine who was a bassist, and he said, "You think Jimi Hendrix is good? You should hear this guy named Stevie Ray Vaughan." And it was these two guys that I wanted to, Jimi Hendrix with the versatility and the way he gravitated to all these different genres of music. You know, it was an art for him. It was broad. There was so much kinds of music being played by Jimmy, where Stevie Ray Vaughan really made me appreciate the blues a whole lot. And I had to throw in there the Kings, of course, with the Stevie Ray Vaughan, all the Kings, especially Freddie King. So it was all of those styles of music played at the house. So I was kind of hearing everything. I was kind of trying to learn the jazz. I was learning the country. I was learning the R&B. I was learning this sick riff off of this rap beat. You know, it was always, I kept my horizons open. So it was always music for me instead of styles of music. It was all music. So I tried to convey that on the guitar with every style.
Yeah. So, were you playing out when you kind of started to put together Songs of a Renegade, or were you?
Yes. Believe it or not, before Songs of a Renegade, I might have been playing about 8 years before that. I remember my first gig at this place called Lickety Split, which is not there anymore.
Where Milk Boy is, right? Yeah.
Where Milk Boy is.
I remember that place.
I used to love Lickety Split, and they gave me my first gig, and from there, speaking of validation, that's where you're like, okay, if I could do this here, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going and try to build an audience, build a fan base to see who likes, if people like this, because at that time I didn't know people liked what I was doing or trying to do at the time. So Lickety Split. There's the Great Rooms, there's Dobbs, there's we could go on and on. Johnny Brenda's, The Fire, all of those places, all of those key places in Philadelphia that you had to play to establish yourself, or for people to take you a little serious.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go back and look now because around that time I was doing some stuff in the city, and I'm going to have to look at I still have like a sheet, the things that used to be in the newspaper when they used to do the newspaper the Grape Room. I wonder if we played in any of the same weeks or anything.
I would not be surprised.
I looked at one recently and it was really funny because I was like, oh, that's been a guest on my show. Oh, that's a guest on my show. And like I'll send it to people and be like, hey, look, we were there.
Right? The confirmation.
yeah, exactly. And you mentioned Lickety Split, like I guess it was around 2006 maybe. My buddy Randy and I, we hosted the open mic night around the corner over at what used to be Kildare's is now like the something nail or twisted tail.
I am very familiar with Kildare's. Yeah, I'm not sure what's there now, but yes, I've definitely. You might have seen me. I've definitely popped in there on the open mic.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
all right.
That was a part of our. That's how you got established, right? The open mic scene, and that's how you got your gigs. It was the open mics, and then you got gigs. So it wasn't. It was always a bit of a hard knocks. It was never. I want to play this place, and they're just going to play. I had to show up at these open mics and prove to them. Everywhere. You prove to them. I didn't just get the Grape Room. I had to go to their open mic. Lickety Split, she gave me that gig because of the open mic. So it was always that. I always encourage those who's coming up to do those open mics. They hone your craft, and it's a good networking thing. So.
Yeah, totally. And the 100% on the networking, like not just for the venues and stuff like that, but other artists, yes. Because then those artists are like, hey man, I'm playing the open mic over at blah, 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 blah. And they just put me on.
That's how I found out. That's how I found out about the Dawsons and these other places. Oh yeah. It was people seeing me at these other places. Then it becomes a scene. A scene. And, we all travel together or meet each other at these other places. And that's how the scene started, which I don't see so much now, but we had a scene. There was a scene going on.
Yeah, it's so funny because I said the same thing. Like I was like, man, there used to be something here that like I felt and I just don't feel it anymore. And I was talking to Dan Drago, and he was like, it's because you're old. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Well, I'm right there with you. So. I'm not trying to deny that. I'm there with you. I'm old too, because it's definitely much different than what we remember. Like you were saying, it was such a you had at least 10 to 20 people playing music in Philadelphia in different places. Hey, I'm gonna be here. Hey, I'm gonna be here. But you don't see that much anymore. And like you said, that some of these venues are not around. We were talking about Lickety Split, and before it turned into the Milk Boys, it was Second State at one time. All of these places just changed on us. So if that's not getting old, I don't know what is.
That's right. That's right. And it's so funny too, because I never expected to be the guy who was like, well, when we used to do it.
I look at these kids and say, well, back in my day.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's the crime of getting old. You can't
Tell me
avoid
about it. Tell me about it. But I appreciate it at the same time. I'm not I definitely appreciate it. It's something to appreciate, especially when you kind of feel the same. You just been around longer, but I feel no different than my first gig. But you learn a lot. You learn a lot as you grow, and I would never say the 50-year-old man should look at life the way the way he did at 25. But you can't be 50 and feel 25 with a vast more knowledge. So
yeah. So when you started trying to, you're playing that stuff out for around 8 years, and you sit down to finally start to record. Were you comfortable with those songs by that point? Like, did you go into it to kind of create that album, or was it just a combination of everything you had been doing up until that point?
A little bit of both. There were Songs of a Renegade. There was a lot of songs that I was performing throughout the open mic stint and these other gigs that we were doing. And then there were songs that were written for the album. It kind of all said the same thing. You group things in an album. For me, at least, you group it up in a way you're trying to say something, and you want to. Not that you want every song to say the same thing, but you want it to fit that. What you're talking about. So a lot of the songs were written before that, but there was a lot of songs written for the album as well. Yeah. And I guess what kept me going was people kept saying, or you kind of the validation we were speaking about. People were saying, "Man, those songs are really good. What are you doing with them?"
Yeah,
I need to put them on an album.
Had you done any studio work prior to going in to do that, or?
Yeah, I played guitar on a couple band. If the band didn't have a guitarist and they needed a guitarist for the studio, I played a couple. I've been in the studio to where I had that experience, but there is still no experience like the experience when you're completing your own album, and it goes with the technicality of things. I mean, even the takes. Learning what you're doing live is one thing, but being in the studio, it has to be so precise. And on live, it'll disappear. It's in the air, but in the studio, it's on record. It's gonna stay there. So that's a whole lot of honing that I had to do, learning how to record, learning how to record the vocals, learning how to record the instrument. What you come up with at home, you got to make sure you do that in the studio. There was a bit of a pressure there. As soon as you hit that record button, I was like, oh, retake, let's do that one again. But now it's, as you get on with time, it's a little easier now. You come up with the stuff at home, and then you go in the studio and you knock it out a couple takes. But the Songs of a Renegade was definitely the boot camp for all that. And that's when I had to ask myself, musician to musician, I had to ask myself, do I really want this? Am I really capable of doing this?
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that, because the first time I was ever in the studio, I listened to some of those recordings and I'm like, my God, why did you accept that take? Like, it's terrible, right? That's and it was, a lot of it was just like, God, I can't waste this engineer's time with another take. Like, let's just get it done. And it's good enough. That's good. But now I listen to it and I'm like, bro, just take another take.
Yeah, right. Patience. That is one thing that you learn, right? Patience. Yeah. And it has to be right. It has to be right. So I agree with you. There's times I listen to a recording and I said, I really sound like that? Or why did I use those words? I really wrote that song.
Yeah. You put that out. What was it like finally, like, having something to be like, here's a collection of my stuff. What do you think? Like, to gift that to people?
Yeah, that felt great. It felt great as far as finishing something and getting it out there to the people, because that's what you want to do for your career. But it was still a response that I wasn't getting, and I don't want to blame it on my rookie album being the rookie album, but there were certain things that I felt that I just could have done better. And now I look back at it, the patience really grown with it, because there was a lot of things that I couldn't stand to listen from those times that I'm okay with now, because I appreciate what happened in the albums after that and how good they sound on these albums after the song. Even Songs of a Renegade, there's some songs that I'm like, wow, or solos or harmonies or something like that. And now I appreciate it now because it sounds so much better. It's like, okay, that's why I went through that. Because if I didn't go through that, those takes would have been on this album.
Yeah. The one of the things throughout your discography that I really enjoyed, like as I was like kind of refreshing and listening to everything, is listening to the growth of your guitar tone.
Yes.
But by the time you reach your recent album, His Story, like your tone is just so like punchy good. Like it's just like it hits. And like you had mentioned Stevie Ray Vaughan, like it's kind of got that kind of that extra, like there's just something extra to it in the it's not reverb. I can't even like pinpoint exactly what it is, but it's just a fine tuning that like I feel like you like do you like your tone now? Like is that what you think it is?
Oh yes. Oh, if you would have seen the research, the amount of research I've done to find this tone, it was when you're a guitar player, you're more than a guitar player. You are now a sonic man in a way. You're trying to put things together that sounds together, and it might sound good one place, but it usually doesn't. It might, but in another place it just doesn't sound good. So my whole thing was, how do I keep this consistent sound? And it was me researching pedals, me researching amps, what amps are better with what pedals, and especially for your own style, coming up with your own identity, the music that you want to present to the world out there. It was a whole bunch of research trying to figure out what's married together that's going to give me what I want. So that was a whole lot of research, and we talking about YouTube, we talking about guitar techs, and of the frustration. You got to add the frustration in this business. A lot of frustrations, and yeah, so it was definitely a big step up with the guitar tone that I achieved on this one, and I'm so proud of it because it was all of the research that I did. It wasn't by mistake.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Mistake.
That's awesome. In any of that research or any was there ever anything, and I already know the answer to this, so it's a silly question to ask, but was there ever any moment where you were like, maybe it's the Strat? Like,
Yes. Yes. To the point where we had pickups taken out of Strats to put different pickups in, intonations, and do I use this Strat? Do I use this Strat? Because I love the Strat, and I was not trying to go to another, go to a Gibson. Nothing against any other guitars or anything like that, but I was trying to stick to the Strat, and I was saying to myself, I'm going to make the Strat work for me in the music that I do. So what I did realize was how heavy or how light I should be on certain songs, and what needs what and things like that. So, and I guess the challenge was, no matter how clean the guitars or how dirty the guitars were, you wanted it the same guitar tone. And that's a lot of Jimi Hendrix studying, because Jimmy, he'll give you the heavy guitars, and then he'll give you these light guitars, but they're all one. You hear Jimi Hendrix no matter what. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to achieve that. You hear one guitar. You might hear the versatility, the aggression, or the clean in some of them, but you hear Greg Sover on the guitars.
Hell yeah. It's funny because, and the reason I ask that is because the way you are with Strats is the way that I am with Tellys. Like I just can't. Yeah. So like I know it. Like I know that once you find something that's like you, that's inherently you, like there's no way to.
No way. And I suggest to the people, do not change. Do not go It's not a hard search. If it's you, it's you. If it sticks to you, stick to it. Therethere's nothing. And when you find it, it's it. There is no more looking. You could just only expand on it and experiment with it. But that's you. So that was me with the Strat. I didn't want to try anything else. We have humbuckers, we have single coils, but I wanted to stick to my single coil. And it goes to my heroes. My guitar heroes all played Strats. So.
Yeah. On the latest album, you got to, and one of the most amazing things in the world, you got to work with Billy Cox.
Yes.
Did he have any Hendrix tone secrets to give you to?
No, believe it or not, he was more impressed that that he feels the Hendrix going on, but it's still the words he used it was still my individuality. You can hear the influences, but it's not somebody trying to copy Jimmy, because that was never my goal. I never wanted to. I wanted to play like Jimmy, but I never wanted to be Jimmy. Jimmy's already taken and his sound is already taken, but I definitely want to keep that legacy alive in my own way, but still add Greg Sover to it. Add it to my other influences and things like that. So
yeah. It's one of the things that I think separates people who I enjoy listening to from other people, and that is wearing your influences is great, but you have to it has to be like a jacket. It can't be your body, and way too many people try to do this kind of musical dress up where it's look, I can play Stevie Ray note for note and it sounds like this, but you don't have the feeling and you don't have your own thing. You don't have
your own thing. And to your point, everybody who I know who played the Stevie Ray Vaughan note for note or the Jimi Hendrix note for note, they could never kind of come up with their own style for their own music. Like you said, you just knew who this guy was trying to be. You could tell who this guy was trying to play like, and they're only playing their songs, which is no gripe, because a lot of people's their determination of success is knowing that Stevie Ray Vaughan song note for note. But I've always wanted to be my own artist. So you take a little piece and then you add yours. So yeah,
it's beautiful.
That was always the goal.
Yeah, man. So you follow up Songs of a Renegade with Jubilee, and you kind of have this a 2-year pattern going on, 2016, 18, and then the Parade EP in 2020. Yeah. Do you love being in the studio? Is that kind of are you always just kind of moving towards the next project like that, or?
Yeah, because when I lay one project out, I'm like, right now we did History. I'm already thinking of the next one. I'm already thinking of what sound I want to do with that one. So you kind of, to answer your question simply, yes, I love being in the studio, creating and coming up with these sounds and things like that. But it's always trying to be well prepared to what you come up with at home and just honing it at the studio. You don't want to go in the studio and you want to go in the studio and lay the music down. You don't want to be so, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. Kind of have a game plan. And that's what I had to learn through experience.
Yeah. And then the Parade EP comes out in the middle of the pandemic. Yes. Was that a pandemic project, or was that were you working on that prior to?
Yeah, pandemic project with a little bit of prior. So the Parade concept was supposed to be a guy waking up in the middle of the night and going through a bunch of stuff. So I wanted to name it the Parade, but with the COVID and we were going through a crazy time in the country and things like that, it felt like there was a different message that had to be put on this album. So I tried to throw in a little bit of that, but definitely the main thing was keeping 2020 out there, so you could remember what's going on in 2020. Trying to figure out these mishaps that's going on in 2020. We was all in this place, and a lot of us don't want to go back to.
No, not at all. I do not. There are little things I miss, I loved all the live streams and all that kind of stuff and all,
yes, I was a part of that world.
Yeah. it was just really wild, like that you would have like these little concerts in your house, and like I don't know that I ever got used to talking to people that I couldn't hear them responding. I could just see like words coming up on the screen, but like
Tell me about it.
it took some time playing live shows afterwards to like get back into like, oh right, you can talk back to me now. Like
That's right. It is. It was. Especially when you're reading it and you're like, what are they saying? I can't really read it, but I'm gonna go ahead and keep playing my song.
Yeah. It's funny too, because I still now, because of that, I'll throw up my phone and I'll do a live stream every time I play now. And every once in a while I find myself like doing that all over again. Like, wait, what did someone just,
Did anybody say anything?
Yeah. And then you had the Cream cover of Politician. What was the kind of the background between choosing that and then not just playing it, but deciding to record it and what?
Yeah. So in 2020 it was so much going on, and a lot of it that was taking over our country was politics. Not to get in sides and things like that, but there was so much going on that Politician came up, and I felt like that was a great song for that time, and added to the killer riffs, and again it's paying. Other than your message, you're paying homage to those who came before you. I mean, we talking about Cream, so it was me trying to keep that legacy alive at the same time, but there was still a message going on. There was still dark times with politics at that time, and I thought that song was so appropriate for that time.
Yeah, oh, definitely. You definitely tapped into something there, and like the through line is not lost. Like it's
yes, we still live through it today.
Yeah, very much so, and sadly so. But yeah, so that that brings us to history. We talked about Billy Cox there just for a second, but what was the process of bringing him on? Like, were you just like, was that something that you were kind of targeting, or was that just something that came about from conversation or whatnot?
Yeah, kind of conversation with the team. The plan was to put Manic Depression on the album, which is a Jimi Hendrix song, and I felt that song was so on topic with what I was trying to speak about throughout the whole album. So I wanted to do that song. And talking to the team, my manager out of nowhere said, I'm going to try to reach out to Billy Cox. Fast forward, we meet in Billy Cox in Nashville. And as we meet and I say, hey, Billy. He say, hey, Greg. And we start jamming to a Motown song, My Girl by Temptation. And I was like, whoa, I'm actually jamming with this guy who played with Jimi Hendrix. Without forgetting the fact of what he brought to the table himself. He wrote so many songs for others, and these bass lines, and the Jimmy thing was just the icing on the cake. But I felt so. Speaking of validation, it was one of those times when I said, "My goodness, I made it." Yeah. I'm playing Billy Cox. So it was I had to give it up for the team. All I said was I'm trying to put Manic Depression on the album. And my manager and team said, let's get Billy Cox.
That's incredible.
We're still friends.
And then so the plan was one song, and then you get to also do Remember. Like
yes.
How did the additional song come through?
Well, there was, from what I'm hearing, he wanted to re-record the song with Jimmy before Jimmy passed, and it was a song that was in the tuck, and I don't want to put words in Billy's mouth, but it was almost like, I feel like you're worthy to record this song, and he blessed me with the opportunity, and I couldn't say no. He wanted this song done. He did me a favor. Sure, let's do this one, and I thought the song came out really good. Great song. I love that song, so I'm glad it's on the album, and it just increased what I was trying to say on the album pretty much.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. What was that like on the international version, right, or something?
Yeah, international version. It wasn't yet released in America yet, and I think not until a couple years ago, maybe even a decade ago, was when it was released on the American version of that album. And again, I was just blessed to have that opportunity to re-record this song that him and Jimmy was going to re-record anyway. And unfortunately, what happened to Jimmy, with the passing, and fast forward, he said, "I think you're worthy enough to record this song." So I'm glad I did it.
God, that's amazing. That's absolutely like we keep coming back to validation. Talk about validation, man. Like that is just like.
Yes. Especially, not to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. No, yeah.
The validation was so, and we're talking about somebody who's there, who know what it's like, and he's telling you that you're good, or you should keep going further with this, and I have a song for you. So it's big. It was big.
It's incredible. I mean, like that plus having a kid, like you have experienced pure, like how do you top that? Like what's next? Like how do you
Tell me about it. It's in the world where you don't know what's next, you're just looking forward to what's next. You're just like, whoa. And it's going to be big because everything's been so much blessings already, and having my baby boy was the icing on the cake.
Yeah. One of the things about the album that I absolutely appreciate is I am a sucker for a 10 song or less album. Like say it, get in and get out. Like I wanted to fit on a vinyl or something like that. Were there outtakes? Were there other songs that could have made the cut that you cut or?
Yeah, there were, but they just wasn't sounding the same. There was a bit of aggression that I wanted on this album that I kind of felt the other songs were probably too soft for it. But I definitely planned on making it a 10-song album, and 10 songs because it's not too much. But then again, 10 songs because it is a project. You are giving a full body of work, but you don't want it to be a 17-song album,
Yeah, no, so. It's incredible. It's so good, and I like you said, like it all makes sense together. You know what I mean? Like it is a complete piece, and I think that's another thing that I find missing in a lot of contemporary albums is like we're getting to that point again where a lot of people are just kind of releasing collection of songs instead of like having something to say, and I feel like this album has something to say.
Yeah, thank you.
What is the response to it been like?
I'm so proud. As we were saying earlier, I didn't know where it was going to go. I didn't know where this album was going to go with all of the changes that was going on. So it was so refreshing to hear the response that I'm getting because I know I'm out of work and songwriting and placing songs, what song goes where and what song goes. It was so much. That I had to kind of do by myself this time because I've always had help on the previous album. So the fact that this is probably one of the bigger responses that I've got to an album is just, yo, that's my Jawn.
Hell yeah. Hell yes. Yeah, man. No, it's absolutely incredible. And like I said, like, the evolution of your guitar tone, like your guitar just sounds so good on this album. Like, that's not just the sound itself, but like the player, like you are just dialed in right now. And I'm really excited. So are you already thinking of the next one? Is that in your head?
Already thinking of the next one. And between me and you, I'm thinking of calling it 5. It will be my 5th album. So maybe simply put 5 with a little picture of me when I was 5 on there. But nobody knows. Nobody knows.
I love that. Well, that's beautiful because that's when you got that guitar, right? Like
that's when I got the guitar. You got it. You got it. Yes. 5 is such a not that I'm into spiritual numbers or anything like that, but 5 is such an important number because of me getting my first guitar and things like that. And this is my 5th album, so it kind of just ties into that. So 5, yes.
I love it. That's incredible. Well, at this time, you want to go through the Jawntlet. These are the questions that I ask all of my guests. It's made up of 2 sections that starts with the one-hit wonders. First one, Billy Joel or Elton John?
Ooh, good one. I'm going to go with Billy Joel. Okay. Billy Joel, one of the first songs I've heard from Billy Joel, We Didn't Start the Fire. one of my favorite all-time songs. And you know, I almost think it's almost a rap song in a way, but yeah, Billy Joe.
Very much so. Very much so. Number 2, Debbie Harry or Joan Jett?
Ooh, you know, Debbie Harry. You can't go wrong with Blondie. That was just Heart of Glass. You know, and you know the mixture of the rock with the disco, and she also gave hope to us. You know, to us not so young musicians. You know, she definitely kept that light on, because a lot of people they don't make it they don't make it, whatever that is, in a certain age, and they just probably want to quit or do something else. And Debbie Harry is one of the ones who kept it alive. Hearing her story.
Great answer. Number 3, Aretha Franklin or Tina Turner?
Wow. I'm gonna have to go with Aretha. That something with that soulful voice. Tina's nowhere near bad either, you know. And Tina has, especially '70s Tina, she had that rock edge to her. But it's something about Aretha Franklin that the vocals were so powerful, and throughout time, she just was always that. So Tina Turner. But rest in peace, both of them. We appreciate what you guys did to music.
Hell yeah. Yes. Definitely. Definitely both left a mark, man. Like, just icons.
Mark. Yes.
Nirvana or Pearl Jam?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to go with Nirvana. Nirvana when it came to Nirvana, not only the lyrics, they had great beats. I mean, I think of "Smell Like Teen Spirit." Other than singing and how fun it was, that beat. Dun, 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 dun. So I'm gonna go with Nirvana. Then you have Lithium, and Kurt Cobain himself was somebody who captured my attention by himself. And then, you know, you still have added to their legacy still goes on when you hear Heroes from the drummer, from Foo Fighters drummer. You know, so it's Nirvana for me. Pearl Jam is great, but it's Nirvana for me.
All right, great answer. Janis Joplin or Stevie Nicks?
Wow. Now I'm gonna go with Janis Joplin. That the vocals she had, strong vocals. Stevie Nicks is amazing. You know, the band was amazing, and so I'm not gonna take nothing from Stevie Nicks, from Fleetwood Mac. But Janis Joplin, that was just a one of a kind voice that you don't hear anymore. And if somebody comes up singing like her, you know that's Janis Joplin influence. I'm gonna give it with Janis Joplin.
Excellent. The big one, Beatles or the Stones?
Ooh, I'm gonna go with the Beatles. The Beatles have so many songs. The Rolling Stones are great, straight rock. You know, I'm not, you know, but the Beatles for me, the Beatles. I mean, they're on top. I think they have 40 of the best records ever written. There's a reason why they knew how to write songs. And you hear their growth from their first album to the last album, and then you see what they did individually, from Paul, Ringo, George. Who am I missing?
John Lennon. Yeah,
John. How can I forget John? And you know, everybody took what they did with the team together, and then spread it apart on their own, to where everybody had their own identity, which I think a band should have. Everybody should have their own identity. And when you come together, you get your Power Ranger thing going on. But other than that, everybody, those four guys, everybody, you can name something individually that they all done, added to what they've done together. So I'll go with the Beatles.
I love it. The last one of this section, Bohemian Rhapsody or Stairway to Heaven?
Oh, wow. So while I have Wayne's World in my head, I'm gonna have to go with Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody. They're dun, 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 dun. Awesome beats, really good lyrics, powerful vocals. Kind of what I'm trying to do. Powerful vocals, really good beats, and loud guitars and things like that. So I'll go with Bohemian Rhapsody.
That's awesome. Every once in a while, I like to surprise a guest with one that I add specifically for them. So I have a one-hit wonder specifically for you. The Experience or Band of Gypsies?
Ooh, good question. Great question. I had to go with the Gypsies. I had to go with the band of
Yeah.
Gypsies. It was so much, and the experience have a lot of the songs that I love, but the band of Gypsies was just on. It was just a different. You could feel the transformation. It was it was polished. It was the songs that just were produced. It was who was he working with at the time and who was in the band and things like that. So band of Gypsies. Yes.
All right. Good one. Good one. The next section is the top 10 countdown. Of course, you know this. We use Jawn to be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be music. Number one, what was your first Jawn? What was the first thing you were obsessed with when you were a kid?
Oh, I'm gonna have to go with the guitar. I could not get over the curves of that acoustic guitar. Again, I thought it was a woman. I stared at it like it was a woman every time my dad picked it up. Like, wow, I don't know what I want to do, but I want to do something with it.
That's awesome. I completely forgot something. You mentioning Time After Time. You worked with Dave Sikkonen on this album.
Yes.
What was that experience like?
Dave is a major mentor. Dave is just like Billy. I could call Dave. He's a friend. It's somebody in my phone that I could call. I need some advice. He's got me. So he's a real good guy. So it was beyond the experience of him playing on the band. It was more of now I have him as a friend. He's a cool guy. And then he's looking out for me. So real good guy all the way. And that kind of can overlap the playing on because you're sitting there with somebody who's not only gold to a lot of people, but y'all cool and giving you advice and setting things up for you, and we've played shows together, so it's more of a connection with Dave.
It's
Real
beautiful
guy. And go check out their record. I had to give them a plug. Go check out their new record. Great record.
It's awesome, isn't it? I just talked to Eric Bazillion a few episodes ago, and he I was talking to him about the fact that a lot of those songs were created using their old 4-track demos, their old Porta Studio demos, is absolutely mind blowing, man.
Tell me about it. Yes. Great band. One of them legendary bands that we think of. I mean, and that alone is huge, But again, back to it, it's mainly what the connection that we have, and he plays gigs with me. So as big as he is with the Hooters, he still makes time for me. So you can't go wrong. Go wrong with that.
That's awesome. Number two, what's your current Jawn? What are you into right now?
Ooh, current Jawn would probably be. Would it be corny if I said guitars?
No, not at all, man.
This time, electric guitars. But right now, as of right now, that would be it. Music, I live music. I love music. It's that will always be my Jawn. You know what I mean? That will always be there with me. So music would take the cake. And on more guitars.
I love it. Number three, what was your first concert? What was the first live show you saw?
Oh, man. First live show I saw is going to sound weird, but it was the Beach Boys.
No, that's awesome. I love it.
It was the Beach Boys. Keswick Theater. I was just speaking about it earlier. But Keswick Theater, good friends, good family members took me to the Beatles concert, and I saw Brian Wilson. I saw all the greats, the Kokomo's, Beach Boys. Everybody was surfing. All of that was being played. And this is coming from not such a big Beach Boys fan. And they turned me into a bigger fan. I've always heard the music, but watching them live, the harmonies, oh, man, wow.
Yeah, they're absolutely mind-numbing, the harmonies, and that they can still pull it off, too.
Still pull it off. Great, yes.
It's awesome. Number four, what was your last concert? What was the last live show you went to?
Last live concert I went to was actually Dwight Yoakam, favorite country singer of mine. Dwight Yoakam at the Keswick.
Oh, that's awesome.
Dwight Yoakam, I went with my girlfriend. I said, let's go check out this country star. She said, country? You're going to love it. Don't worry about it. Now, she don't love it, but she sees why I love it.
That's awesome. That's another thing that I completely slipped my mind when we were talking about influences. When I was reading the press release and stuff like that, and I saw Pete Anderson's name on there, I was like, wait a minute, where the hell did he come from?
Pete Anderson, by far, the rhythms, the riffs that he came up with. Pete Anderson, I wish he was still in Dwight's band, but some of the things he came up with was just genius. One of the best. He's one of my favorite guitarists. If I had 5, he's definitely in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Number 5, what was your favorite concert? What was the best live show you ever saw?
Best live show I ever saw was Eric Gales. I went to Sellersville Theater in PA and saw Eric Gales, extraordinary guitar player. One of the guitarists that you see and you're like, man, am I really that good? I have a lot of catching up to do. So Eric Gales, he blew my mind when I saw him live. I've seen him on concerts and things like that, but when you see it live, you're like, this is really going on live. Wow, great band. Great songs and awesome playing.
That's cool. I've never seen him. I'll have to add that to the list of people to keep an eye out for.
Highly recommended.
Number 6, who have you never seen live that you wish you would have? They can be living or dead.
Oh, well, okay. That's a toss-up between Bob Marley and Jimi Hendrix. I feel like those two guys, it's as many musicians that influence me, I feel those two guys influence me the most. From Bob Marley's with his with how he attacks songs, what he speaks about, but still doesn't make it preachy. It's still something that everybody still love. And when it comes to Jimi Hendrix, is the guitar and his lyrics. I have to throw Jimi Hendrix is an awesome writer himself. But it's a toss-up between those two guys. Those two guys really shaped my music and the way I look at life.
Awesome. Number 7, name an unappreciated Jawn, something you wish had a little more shine to it.
Something I wish I had. I wish that History had a little more shine to it. History is a great album, and I know it's shining now, but I think it could shine a little more. Bring the shine on.
Hopefully, I'll bring some of this shine. Hopefully, this will pull some attention.
I appreciate it too. You're doing enough. Thank you.
Number 8, what's your favorite album?
Oh, favorite album? As I could think of right now would probably be Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt.
Yeah?
Yeah. Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt. Jay-Z, one of my favorite rappers. When I think of Jay-Z, I think of lyrics, the way he writes. It's not always what they write about. It's how they write that I capture. It's not always the message, it is always a message, but it's not always that. It's always the way they rhyme the words, when they put certain things in. So I learned a lot of that technique and put it in mine. So it works all across the board the way he did it. And he's a rapper, and me, I'm blues rock. So there is a fundamental that we share that made me know that music isn't a genre thing. It's all music. There's only two kinds of music, good and bad. Everything else, it's all music, no matter what you're hearing and who you're hearing it from.
It's true. It's so true. Number 9, name an artist whose output you'll consume anything they release.
Wow, that's a good question. I'm probably going to say Eric Gales right now. I can't get enough of Eric Gales right now. The guitar playing, the story, and these guys also influence me to just keep it going. You see them going, and you're just like, I'm gonna keep this going too. So those are major points. So anything Eric Gales is doing right now, probably I would say Eric Gales.
All right. Number 10, the 10th and final one. What is your favorite Jawn of all time?
Ooh, favorite Jawn of all time. Favorite Jawn of all time, as it comes to my mind, would have to be Machine Gun, Jimi Hendrix. From bass line to topic to solo, and there's the jam. There is a bunch of not caring that happened in that song that I think almost every artist should have that rebel in their repertoire. And as structured as Jimmy has some stuff, there's a lot of things that he wasn't worried about structure. It was just getting that message out and getting his sound out. So, and to me, that's rebel. That's very rebel, So Machine Gun. Machine Gun Jimi Hendrix.
That's awesome. I love it. Great answer. So you said you're already starting to think and kind of work towards the next release. Any chance of calling up your new friend Billy Cox and adding him to the team?
That's the major possibility. Major possibility, especially if we're trying to put another Jimi Hendrix song on there, just to get that authentic feel, that original feel, as close to that as possible. So yeah, there's definitely room for Billy on 5.
I love it. So the album history is out now on all the streaming sites. It's up on your Bandcamp as well. If people want to find that, what's the best way to track you down on the internet?
Yes. Oh, well, there's GregSover.com, GregSover.com. Everything is on there, and there's only one Greg Sover. So if you put in social media and you put Greg Sover, follow everything Greg Sover.
I love it. And you just did something there that made me even think, if you do name this album 5 and you make it a V, you can make it the middle of your name. Oh my God, you got so many ideas here.
Oh man. So yeah, we should talk a little bit more. That was a great idea you just said right there.
Right? Come on,
that was a great idea. I have to give you the props.
I'm always thinking design. I'm always thinking design. Greg, thank you so much, not just for doing the show, man, but for creating such a beautiful album. And it is beautiful. Like I said, I am a big fan, and I am so glad that we got this chance to chat.
Yes. Thank you so much, Nate. It was great talking to you, my brother.
My thanks again to Greg for joining me on the show today. Greg's new album, History, is available now on all streaming services. You can find more about Greg and his music by visiting his website, www.gregsover.com. And you can find Greg on Facebook at facebook.com/GregSover and on Instagram at Greg_Sover. Links to all of those, as always, are in the show notes. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to the Yo, That's My Jawn podcast wherever you get your podcast from. And guys, it's never too late to get yourself a super awesome Jawn Scout Merit Badge for citizenship of the world just by rating and reviewing us. Don't forget to visit www.yothat'smyjawn.com for articles, merchandise, and links to all of the previous episodes of this podcast. And while you're there, be sure to sign up for our mailing list to get all of the updates delivered straight into your inbox. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/YoThat'sMyJawn for updates and live streams. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Yo That's My Jawn, and search Yo That's My Jawn on YouTube to find the Yo That's My Jawn YouTube channel. Like and subscribe the heck out of that ish. We want to hear from you. Reach out and touch some Jawn. Guys, it's the Exponential Music Fest presented by Subaru Weekend. So, if you are out at Wiggins Park and you see me, be sure to stop me and say, hey, we'll totally high five. Blue skies. Until next time, everybody.
Hey yo, displace the guilt and embrace the pleasure. Your taste in music doesn't have to be.
Yo, That's My Jawn is a Lonely Monk production written and produced by yours truly, Nate Runkle. Theme song by Phil Tyler Music featuring Nate 3.0. Special thanks to Fox Run Brands, DX Ferris, Andrew Scott, Natalie Runkle, and the incredibly brilliant and wickedly stunning Katie Daubney. If you or anyone you know has any ideas they would like to share or any guests they would like to hear on the podcast, please feel free to reach out to us at yothat'smyjawn@gmail.com. Or you can leave an audio message for us and possibly hear yourself on a future episode by visiting anchor.fm/YTMJ/message. Until next time, be sure to displace the guilt and embrace the pleasure and shout to the world, yo, that's my Jawn.